We've gone to the SD 41.2, second chapter of the volume, Attaka Nagara Sutta, page 35. The discourse to an Attaka Nagara man. The title is quite interesting in terms of grammar. You notice the word Nagara. Nagara, usually all the letters are short. Nagara, short. But here, the second vowel, the first vowel actually, the A is long. Nagara. So this is where in the Pali and Sanskrit you have these little nuances like tones. There's a slight little change in tone. The grammatical sense of it changes. So Nagara means nation, even country or city, but Nagara means someone from that place. So here is the man from Attaka Nagara. And the reference is M52, Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 52. Now this sutta obviously is quite popular. It is memorized by the Majjhimakas. After the Buddha's time, you find there are groups of people, different groups of monks, they will memorize different sutta, different sets of suttas. For example, there are those who memorize the Digha Nikaya, so they're called the Digha Banakas, the reciters of the long suttas. Then you have the Majjhima Banakas who memorize the sutta. Then there is the Sangyutta Banakas, and then the Anguttara Banakas, and then after that the other books you have those who memorize Jatakas and other books of the Pali canon. Now in this case, we have two groups of reciters who remember this sutta. One is the Majjhima Banakas, and the other is the Anguttara Banakas. So we have this sutta also under the reference A11.17, so it appears twice. That means the sutta is quite important, quite popular. So now this sutta is about 11 ways to awakening. It's quite a straightforward sutta. You have first an introduction. A person meets Ananda in this case, and then he asks a question, and then Ananda answers the question, which forms the bulk of the sutta. And then the person is very happy, and then he gives donation, and end of sutta. Okay, so what interests us, of course, is the key teaching. This sutta is quite straightforward. From the sutta, you more or less can know the age of the sutta also. So let's start with the sutta right away. If you look at page 42, the translation starts there. The discourse on an Attaka Nagara man, or if you like, the discourse on the man from Attaka Nagara. It's the name of a city, one of those up and coming cities in the Buddha's time. It was a time of great prosperity and the rise of empires in India. And this is one of those rare occasions when we do know the name of this person. Very often we do not know. We only know the surname, the family name of the person. Like for example, there are many family names we know, like Bharadwaja, Vasenta, Kassapa, and so on. But here, we only know his personal name. His personal name is Dasama. Dasama means number 10. Maybe it could be the 10th child or something. So, the sutta starts, thus have I heard. At one time, the Venerable Ananda was staying in the Belua Gamaka, or you can translate into English as the village of Belua, or Belua village, if you like, Gamaka. The Ka at the end probably suggests it's a small village at that time. Sometimes these names can be quite tricky, because the village started very small, but then started growing very big, but still called by the name. The little village, but actually it's a big city. So anyway, this is probably quite early in its history, so it's a little village of Belua, near Vesali. Vesali is one of the big cities in northern India. Now notice here again, only Ananda is mentioned. Very interestingly, Buddha is not mentioned, even in the next verse. Only in the end. In the end, when the person takes refuge, that the Buddha is mentioned. But in this case, the man from Attaka Nagara Dasana only says sadhu, it doesn't take refuge, right? So the Buddha is not mentioned at all in this sutta. That means we can deduce this sutta probably the teaching occurred after the Buddha has passed away. Okay? And Ananda is still around giving teachings. At that time, the house lord Dasama of Attaka Nagara had arrived in Pataliputta. Now notice here what's interesting. This name, Pataliputta, also is very rare in the Pali canon. In fact, it's never called Pataliputta. It was called Pataligama. So this city has become quite big, built by King Ajatasattu. You will read about this in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, where the king was kind of preparing to attack the Vajis, the neighbors. So this is a very interesting area. We study the history of Buddhism during the Buddha's time from the suttas themselves. We do get quite some interesting information. So in other words, this city is quite big already. Right? You can see there's a footnote there, 45. Pataliputta, modern Patna, today it's called Patna. And previously it was, in Buddha's time, it's called Pataligama. And there's a reference to the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. It's an ancient fortress located on the Ganges, used by King Ajatasattu. Then the house lord Dasama of Attaka Nagara went to Kukuta's park. Here Kukuta actually means chicken, but the word means chicken, but here's a name for a person built by someone called Chicken. But chicken is a big word in India in those days, okay? Because here to us chicken is just food, right? But in India they're kind of a special bird. So in fact, when I was in school, I remember in secondary school, I had a friend whose nickname was Ayam. Ayam is chicken. Okay? So it's probably his nickname, or it could be his real name given to him. Kukuta's Park, which is a monastery, by the way. You remember those days when we say monastery and we say park, they are the same thing. The monasteries of the Buddha's time were not huge, big structure. Right? They're just like forest monasteries. When you go there, the first thing you see are lots of trees. And then only when you look carefully amongst the trees, you see little huts or kuti, and then maybe there's a big hall somewhere hidden among the trees. So this is the park, Arama. Okay? So then he approached a certain monk. Having approached him, he saluted him and sat down at one side. So we don't know who this monk is. Sitting thus at one side, the house lord Dasama of Attaka Nagara said this to the monk: "Where, Bhante, is the Venerable Ananda now residing? I wish to see the Venerable Ananda." Okay, the commentary gives us a background of what actually happened. Right? This man from Attaka Nagara, or Dasama, was a businessman. Okay, so he comes to this Pataliputta on business. And apparently he did very well, a very successful transaction, so he's very happy. Then he goes to see the monks. He wants to see Ananda. Okay, so he goes to the monastery, he asks this monk. And the monk replies, "The Venerable Ananda, house lord, is residing outside," meaning in the quiet area, forested area, at Beluwa Gamaka. Then the house lord Dasama Attaka Nagara, having finished his business in Pataliputta, went to Beluwa Gamaka outside Vesali and approached the Venerable Ananda. Having approached him, saluted him and sat down at one side. Sitting thus at one side, the house lord Dasama of Atakanagara said this to the Venerable Ananda. Bante Ananda. Okay, here comes the starting point, the question. Okay, if you like, the thesis, and then there is the antithesis, something like that. Yeah. Bante Ananda, is there any one thing or one teaching, Ekadhamma, that has been pointed out by the Blessed One, who knows and sees, worthy, fully self-awakened, by which if a monk were to dwell diligent, ardent, resolute, he would liberate his unliberated mind, attain to the supreme security from bondage that had not yet been attained. Okay, in other words, is there one teaching that Buddha has given that would awaken us where we can find our answer? Okay, so that's the question. And then Ananda answers, section 3.4, there is, house lord, that one thing or one teaching that has been pointed out by the Blessed One who knows and sees, worthy, fully self-awakened, by which if a monk were to dwell diligent and so on, in other words, meditate, he would be free from defilements and become awakened. Okay, and then Ananda stops a while. So this conversation is very calm, very slow, very steady. Ananda doesn't get excited. Sometimes you ask one question, this teacher may start answering without an end. I remember I had my first teacher was like that. I just need to ask him one short question, then he'll start talking for 2 hours. And very difficult to even stop him because he'll be telling a lot of stuff, and then very interesting stuff. So I have to bring a notebook along. And after that, I find bringing a notebook tiring. I said, can I bring a tape recorder? So it's much easier, just tape everything and then listen to it. So he loves talking. You just ask him one short question: why is there a soul? Then he start telling you a long thing. But here it's different. See, here we have Ananda just answering just the question which is asked. So the next question follows up, and Dasama asks, what, Bante Ananda, is that one thing, that one teaching that that will liberate us? Okay, so I've summarized the repetitive passages here. Now comes the complete answer. Okay, here something we are not told something. Ananda didn't say anything. Ananda only said there is that one thing. But if you look carefully here, how many things did Ananda give? You just look at the round number, the round brackets. You look right to the end. How many, up to what number do you see round brackets? 11. Okay. So actually, it's not just one thing. Actually, it's 11 ways. Okay. But this Ekadhamma is very interesting. You see, the word Ekadhamma can also mean the Dhamma of the one or oneness. So, in other words, the one can also mean mental focus, samadhi, dhyana. Okay. So you see the usage of one in this way very often in the suttas. So much so, I'm convinced that the word Padeka Ratta, Pada Eka Ratta, we can also translate as the one who delights in the auspicious oneness. Yeah? Because Padeka Ratta is one of those very tricky words in the Pali canon. The Chinese version translated as auspicious night. The Sanskrit also apparently has it as auspicious night, Bhadra Eka Ratri. So what is interesting, you must remember that the Sanskrit version is a later version. So it's very likely the earlier version, which is in Prakrit or dialect, could have simply be Padeka Ratta. Okay? Now Padeka Ratta you can translate in two ways. One is the one with an auspicious night of meditation. And there's another problem, by the way. The ancient Indians, they used the word night, meaning what we say as day. Okay, For example, we say, let's call it a day, okay? And they will say, let's call it a night. For example, even during the night, when you do work and you feel tired, you find enough, you say, let's call it a day. Of course, you can say, let's call it a night, you won't be wrong, but you can say, let's call it a day. But in India, when you say a night, it means a full day, okay, 24 hours. So we can, if we want, also translate it, the one with the auspicious day, if you like. But then, why did you use the word night? Because in this case, meditation is usually best done at night. It's very quiet and peaceful. So that's one possible meaning of Patikarata. But I think, although the commentary doesn't say, this is just my opinion after looking at all the suttas and the spirit of the suttas, I would say that you can equally, with equal validity, translate this Patikarata as the one who delights in the auspicious oneness. To me, this sounds even more reflective of the real situation. Okay? Why should this monk only rejoice in one night? Of course, one possible answer is that one night was really good, he attained certain levels of meditation, jhana, or even awakening. Right? So anyway, in terms of translation, both ways can be translated. And of course, you've got to see the context. So this is a very interesting discussion which scholars and translators like to have. So, Eka here can mean kind of mental concentration or meditation in general, if you like. Alright, so the Ananda says yes, the Buddha did teach that one thing that will bring a monk, a meditator, awakening. Again, remember, whenever the word monk is mentioned in terms of such context, especially of meditation, according to Buddha Ghosha, to commentaries, the word monk there refers to a meditator. It can be any one of us, right? The word monk represents the whole audience. Okay, but that's why whenever the Buddha gives teaching, the Buddha will say monks, right? The Buddha doesn't say like modern speakers say venerable sirs, venerable nuns, Mr. President, and so on and so on, long name, So the Buddha will say monks, and everyone assembled also listen. Alright, so the teaching begins. Notice the heading number 1 is the first dhyana, first jhana, Patama jhana. And the teaching begins with section 4. Here, house lord, quite secluded from sense desire, secluded from unwholesome mental states, a monk enters and dwells in the first jhana. What does that mean? First, you got to overcome, quite secluded from sense desires. All the 5 senses are shut down. Secluded from unwholesome mental states. All the mental hindrances are cleared away. And then he attains first dhyana. Now, first dhyana has got 5 factors. First factor, initial application. Can you see the word there? That's the first. And sustained application. So these two go together. Initial application, sustained application. Accompanied by zest. Zest is number 3. Third factor. And happiness, sukha. Okay. 4th factor. Born of seclusion is the 5th factor. Born of seclusion refers to samadhi actually, but not directly mentioned here. Okay. So the 5 dhyana factors are initial application, sustained application, zest, happiness, and samadhi. So, in other words, here the mind is fully composed. Okay. Now, what does initial application and sustained application mean? The Pali word is vitakka vichara. Under ordinary circumstances in daily life, vitakka translates as thinking. Vichara translates as pondering. Okay. Here in the first jhana, there is still some remnants of thought. The thought process, a little bit subtle processes there, where you direct the mind, you know the object is there, and then you keep on directing the mind there. So the first instance, when you notice the object, that's called vitakka, initial application. Sustained application means you keep on directing your mind towards the object. That's all. No other thoughts going on. That's called vitakka vichara. And then there is zest. Zest is a joyful interest. then sukha, a kind of peaceful joy, and then kind of mental concentration. So these are 5 mental factors. I mentioned 5 because we will be coming back to this 5 in a moment. Now this is not finished yet. So Ananda says, first this person, this meditator, attains the first jhana. He considers thus. In other words, after attaining jhana, reaching the happy state, he comes out of it. It's not mentioned, but it's understood. He emerges from the meditation, but his mind is still calm, still peaceful. He considers thus, section 4.2. Okay, this is very important, right? This is the so-called vipassana method. He considers thus, even this first dhyana is mentally constructed. Now you can put square brackets there, mind-made. Okay? Usually in meditation we like to use the word mind-made, hyphenated word. Intentionally formed. This is a very important sentence in the Pali text. It's talking about how to reflect on your meditation. The so-called vipassana teaching, this is the key sentence. This dhyana can be replaced by any other of the 10 meditation we're going to talk about in a while. Okay? Look at the next sentence. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. There you are. These 2 sentences are the 2 most important sentences you need to know when you meditate. When you attain a very good level in meditation, enjoy it, don't rush, enjoy it, keep it going as long as you can until you're familiar with it. Then when you come out of it, look back. Review period, look back and say, wow, yeah, this is a great state, but it's mind-made, therefore it's impermanent, it is unsatisfactory. Right? Now this is the way the Buddhists look at all these wonderful things. A non-Buddhist, what we say, it gets to jhana and comes out and says, wow, I have experienced God. I have attained whatever they believe in, right? But the Buddha said, no, this is all mind-made. Okay, so and when you reflect in that way, wisdom would arise. So remember this, the very important sentence here, 4.3. And then comes the benefit. See, this is what Dasama is asking. So here Ananda says, if he is steady therein, he attains the destruction of the mental influxes. So he keeps going on like that, he becomes an arahat. If he does not, okay, so next line. If he does not attain the destruction of mental influxes because of that desire in dharmas, that delight in dharmas or meditative states, then with the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, he becomes one of spontaneous birth in the pure abodes, and there attains vana nirvana, not subject to returning from that world. In other words, it becomes a non-returner. Again, there's an interesting point here. If this meditator can just go on meditating straight through, no interruption, becomes arahat. But if he looks at some of these mental states, says, wow, this is wonderful, and there's some kind of, he starts thinking, he says, wow, such a wonderful state of mind. If only more people meditated, okay? So he has some kind of, we call it Dharma desire, if you like, then he would become a non-returner. In other words, it's not fully cleared away all desires. And this happened in the case of one of the students of Bawari. He was the oldest of the 16 so-called young men. He was listening to the Buddha's teaching. And first time he couldn't understand because he couldn't concentrate very well. It's very old, So the Buddha patiently taught him again, and this time he got it. And he was so happy that he understood the Buddha, but instead of keeping his mind open and just let it be free and become arahat, here is where gratitude is not very helpful, unfortunately, or just when I was speaking. He started thinking of his teacher. He says, oh, if only my teacher was here, this is such a wonderful teaching. he should have heard this teaching, he would have become enlightened. And that thought prevented him from becoming an arahat. But he became a non-returner anyway. Okay? So this is a very interesting lesson for us. It's nothing, no big deal you might say, because even becoming a non-returner is a great thing. It's just that in meditation we try to let go of any kind of attachment. Okay? But even if you do have a slight attachment during meditation, it's okay. You still attain a very high level, just below arahatu, non-returner. Okay? So these two fruits are often mentioned by the Buddha. You get arahathood, or if there's a little bit of desire remaining, you become a non-returner. Okay? So this is the key passage, very important passage, alright? And then the 4.6, this house lord is the one teaching that has been pointed out by the Blessed One, who knows, who sees, and so on, that if you practice, you gain awakening. So this is the first way. Right? So, first way is to practice, get to the level of jhana, and then come out of it, reflect on that jhana as being mentally constructed, mind-made, and therefore impermanent. Okay? So first method, easy enough, huh?
Question.
Yeah, sure.
Here talking about the first jhana.
Mm-hmm.
So, you mean to be a once returner? Here is talking about non-returner.
Yes.
You just need to end the first jhana?
Yeah. Yes, it's possible. Yeah. But you must see there are conditions there. He overcomes the 5 lower fetters, or the 5 lower fetters. The 5 lower fetters are listed in the notes if you look at them. Okay? Can you see what number is the notes? 52, right? Okay. So you can see, you can look up more details on the non-returner in SD 21.10, section 3. Okay. So in other words, he overcomes sense desire, ill will, all those things. Okay. But in other words, all the factors that holds him back in the sense world, okay, he overcomes all those things. But those factors like sense desire, ill will, what do you call this? No, sorry, sense desire, attachment to rituals and vows, doubt, and so on. So those 5 of them, they hold us back in the sense world. There are other more refined factors like conceit, wrong views. Those are more subtle. Only the arhat gets rid of them. So in other words, the non-returner is just one more step towards awakening. Okay?
Name was saying permanent body.
Sorry?
Is it permanent?
Srimuna?
When you reach
Yeah, of course. Once the fire has burnt out, it has burnt out. The fire doesn't come back. Right? In that sense, it's permanent. Okay?
What is meant by he becomes one with spontaneous birth in the pure abode?
Okay, spontaneous birth here means the non-returner, when it arises in the pure abodes, is not born in a biological way, not born a human being, father, mother. It just appears like that.
Arahat, you say?
No, non-returner. The arahat is different. Arahat, that spontaneous birth refers to non-returner.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
It means that the body is permanent.
No. The body is never permanent. Okay, the body is always changing. But as long as the body exists, as long as the arahat is alive, the body is there, so he lives. Then when he passes away, all the 5 aggregates also pass away. Okay?
What are the pure abodes?
The pure abodes is one of the highest of the form realms, where only non-returners are reborn there.
So the Deva?
Sorry?
Is this the Deva realm?
It is a Deva realm.
Oh, this is the same as the Deva realm?
Yeah, but only non-returners exist in that kind of realm. Okay? In other words, that rank is called so because only the non-originals are born there. It is a state of mind actually.
Which is.
Sorry?
Which is.
Yeah, correct. So they are spontaneously born because they are not biologically generated. They appear just like that. The consciousness arises there.
Yes.
Yeah, because it is not physical world. You see, it's a very
Yes.
mental kind of world.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you mean that they pass away in the first jhana?
If no, I mean if they pass away in first jhana, yeah, that will happen too, but not necessarily so. After they come out, they can continue living. For example, there are many monks who are non-returners and they finish up their lives. So their lifestyle is such that when they die, they'll be reborn in that state too. Okay, so that is the non-returner. Yeah? So this is the first section. Remember, in this kind of sutta where there's a lot of repetition, this is the template, this is the key passage you must fully understand. And then the rest they follow the same template, they just change the key ideas. For example, first jhana and then you get second jhana. I've written down all the 11 stages on the board, right? But we must not be too hasty in simply overlapping them and then we don't really pay attention to what's going on, okay? So, next page, you see the second jhana. Then the Ananda says, furthermore, House Lord, the monk with the stealing of initial application and sustained application. Okay. Now, do you notice section 5.5, 5.6, there are italicized words? Is it there? Italicized? Yeah. So whenever you see chunks of italicized passages, it means they are repeated. If you notice the same passage in section 1, previous section, you find they are Romanized. Okay? So at once when you look, like when I teach you, I look at this, I once know, it helps me. I know it is a repetitive passage, so I don't have to like bore you with it, and next lesson you won't come with it. So here we know we are now living in the what's called scribal tradition. We read, we write, so repetitions are important in terms of practice, yes, but in terms of talking, we don't have to go through everything, So, but 5.1 is important because 5.1 defines the second jhana, and this is different from the first jhana, from 4.1. Notice here it says with the stilling, with the calming, with the settling, or with the resolution of initial application and sustained application. In other words, any kind of thought cease to exist by gaining inner stillness and oneness of mind, enters and remains in the second dhyana. And then the second dhyana has got 4 characteristics. Free from initial application and sustained application, but accompanied by zest. Okay, zest is the first quality. Happiness, second quality. And then born of concentration, third quality. Sorry, only 3 qualities. Not 4, 3. Yeah? So you got zest, happiness, and concentration. So in other words, as the jhanas progress, their factors become less. Then, after that, everything repeats itself. If you notice 5.2, he considers thus, even this second dhyana is mentally constructed, intentionally formed. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. Okay? You see, this is the wonder of the oral tradition of the suttas. The style in the sutta now is like computer program. That's how we can remember all this after 2,500 years. But I'm telling you in the spoken tradition. Okay, so I can shorten it, okay, or elaborate in another way. But here, the sutta is telling us, okay, now this meditator attains second jhana, then he comes of it, he reflects it as mind-made, has been mind-made, therefore it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and so on. And if he does this properly, without any hindrance, he becomes arahant. If there is any attachment to any state, or at this level, he will become a non-returner. It's the second part. Okay, got it? Okay, now the third one, the third dhyana. Furthermore, House Lord, the monk with the fading away of zest. Okay, this is the the key, actually, I should underline this, with the fading away of zest. Okay, this is the key idea. Previously, with the stilling of initial application and sustained application. Okay? So, in the third dhyana, zest disappears. He dwells equanimous, mindful, and fully aware and experiences happiness with the body. So happiness is there are only two factors here, happiness and concentration. Okay? So he enters the third dhyana, of which the noble ones declare happily dwells in equanimity and mindfulness. He's mindful of that joy that's going on there. And here he considers thus, even this third dhyana is mentally constructed, intentionally formed. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. Okay? So it reflects impermanence of this. Oh, by the way, if you are a lay person and you don't attain deep jhana, or you do attain jhana but you still have household thoughts, you reflect in this way, you attain stream winning. Okay, that's another thing not mentioned here, but it's understood. Okay? So, if he is to stay in this kind of practice, then he attains arahathood. If there's any thoughts of desire, it becomes non-eternal. Okay? Now the fourth dhyana. So here we also have a definition of the dhyana as before, 7.1. Furthermore, House Lord, the monk, with the abandoning of joy and abandoning of pain. Okay, here you are. This is the key idea here. Pleasure and pain are abandoned. In other words, even the sense of happiness, subtle happiness, also goes away. In other words, what is left is peace, pure peace. And with the earlier disappearance of pleasure and displeasure, attains, okay, pleasure and displeasure is physical, okay? Joy and pain are mental. So physical pain, physical feeling, mental feeling, all settled. Attains and dwells in the fourth dhyana, that is neither painful nor pleasant, and with mindfulness fully purified by equanimity. So the fourth dhyana, only one factor, equanimity. Alright, last quality. So again, it comes out of that jhana and says this is mind-made. Whatever is intentionally constructed, so as such it is impermanent, subject to ending. Then he goes on to attain either arahathood or non-return. So this is to the four jhanas. The same thing applies to the four divine abodes. Here again, although we know the four divine abodes are loving kindness, compassion, gladness, and equanimity, the sutta here defines them for us. Okay, look at 8.1. Furthermore, House Lord, a monk with a heart full of loving kindness dwells, suffusing one quarter, the second, the third, the fourth, thus above, below, across, everywhere, and to everyone as well as to himself. He dwells, suffusing the whole world with loving kindness that is vast, exalted, boundless, without enmity, without ill will. Okay. You know, recently there was this wonderful person who came for, we're getting a lot of people coming for meditation this time. I call it the LKY's blessing. Because after he passed away, just after especially the videotape and everything going around, from that moment onwards, people just start calling out, signing up for meditation. Okay? So there was this lady, and I told her, I said, out of 100, usually only one person will be like that. The moment she stopped breath, she said, wow, can we go on? She said, can we go on? So how come so short, you know? I mean, she comes to personal meditation, we only go 1 hour, you know. And I just taught her a while. First thing, she felt so good. She says, wow, must we stop? Can we go on? And she's really enjoying it, first thing, you know. So I told her, I said, you're very fortunate because you have all these wonderful things, but don't assume that you're going to have this all your life. You must keep up the practice. So that's first lesson. Then she gave a second lesson a few days later. This time we did loving kindness. And again, she was so joyful. And I could feel the joy myself. So this is where, if you really do it properly, you can feel really this overwhelming calmness and joy of it. So sometimes it's just really like that, and you don't experience meditation, you don't know what it is. You're just a scholar and you just care about the words. But if you have done meditation, you enjoy peace and stillness, you really appreciate what's said here. So the Buddha is saying, okay, first what do? We direct loving kindness 1/4. 1/4 means front quarter. We don't say east because you can sit facing any direction. So front quarter. Front quarter also, the word puba also means east, by the way. So that's a word play there. And then right quarter. And the right hand also means south, by the way. But again, it's a play on word here. So the right side, and then the back, which is usually the west, but not necessarily so. And then the left hand side. And then above, below, directions in between. So imagine like you are in the center of the universe, you're sending out all this bright light of loving kindness. And then everywhere. And then finally, to yourself. That's the 11th direction. Okay? 10 directions all over, 11 directions yourself. So that's why it's meant here. If you like, you can call this the 11 points of loving kindness. He considers thus, even this mental liberation by loving kindness is mentally constructed, mind-made, intentionally formed. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. Right? Notice here how loving kindness is mentioned. This mental liberation by loving kindness. The mind is freed by loving kindness, meaning loving kindness attain to the level of dhyana. That's it. Just means that. Okay? Jhana through loving kindness. So this wonderful feeling also is mind-made, impermanent. Okay? Then this person will attain arahathood or non-return. Or as I said, in the case of a layperson, you have thoughts of your family and so on, you attain stream winning. Okay? Or once returning. Then comes compassion. Here again, the passages are very similar except the definition of how compassion is done. But very similar anyway, it's just the key word has changed. 9.1. Furthermore, house lord, a monk with a heart full of compassion dwells suffusing 1/4, 2/4, the 3rd, the 4th, thus above, below, across, and everywhere, and to everyone as well as to himself. He dwells suffusing the whole world with compassion that is vast, exalted, boundless, without enmity, without ill will. So, and then he reflects on him. This is mind-made, therefore it's impermanent. Right? And then the two fruits will arise to him, either one of the two fruits. Okay, can follow so far? And now the third divine abode, section 7. This is a 7 method. Okay. Furthermore, house lord, a monk with a heart of joy or gladness.
This is
Mudita.
yes.
Mudita. Okay. He dwells suffusing 1/4, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, thus above, below, across, everywhere, and to everyone as well as to himself. Right? So same thing in all directions. And then he attains jhana. Then he reflects, this is mind-made, therefore it is permanent, and so on. So notice, in fact, you can reflect all this mind-made, anything. For example, even negative thoughts that arise to you. You reflect, what is a mind-made? Then you won't suffer so much. Okay? And then, number 8, mental liberation through equanimity. Furthermore, house lord, a monk with a heart of equanimity. 11.1. Okay? Dwells suffusing 1/4, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, thus above, below, across, everywhere, and to everyone, as well as to himself. He dwells suffusing the whole world with equanimity. Okay, so it attains jhana as a result. then it comes out of it, it reflects all this is mind-made, intentionally constructed, therefore they are impermanent and so on. When he attains arahatut or non-return. Okay, these are called the 8 attainments. They are well known as the 8 attainments. But Ananda adds 3 more, right? So you get altogether 11. These are the 11 doors of awakening. So the last 3 are quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yes?
But usually when we talk about the 8 attainments, you mention about the 4 divine abodes, right?
Yeah, correct, sorry. Yes. Usually the 8 attainments will be the 4 form jhanas and the 4 formless jhanas, alright? So we don't call them attainments. But this is a very, very interesting arrangement where you have the 4 divine abodes also included. Thank you for correcting me. Yeah?
Sorry, but I missed.
When we talk about the 8 attainments, you got 4 form jhanas, 4 formless jhanas. Those are called 8 attainments. But this Atta Kanagara Sutta's arrangement is different. You've got 4 form jhanas followed by 4 divine abodes. That is 8. They are not called attainments. Although, in a non-technical sense, you can call them attainment if you like, because you attain jhana. Okay, but technically they are not called attainments. The other attainments are the last 3. Now, the last set are formless jhana. Now, there are 4 formless jhana, but here only 3 are mentioned. Okay, let's look at the 3 first. Then after that, I'll explain why the 4th is not listed. So now we've gone to method 9, the base of infinite space. I'll read through the passage and I'll explain what's going on here. Furthermore, House Lord, a monk by completely transcending the perception of form with the disappearance of the perception of sense reaction, with the non-attention to perception of diversity, aware that space is infinite, attains and dwells in the base of infinite space. Okay, here we are. This is really tough, right? Okay, what does this mean? Now remember, these jhanas, right? You got to go through all of them each time. If you want to go to the 4th jhana, you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? You want to go 3rd jhana, 1, 2, 3. See, they're like a series of rooms within rooms within rooms. Okay? So let's say you enter the 1st door, okay, 1st jhana, and then you go to this another door, 2nd jhana, and then 3rd door, 4th door, and then when you come out, you go through them again. Okay? And then beyond that are the formless dhyana. So they're all like continuous. So in a sense, in a very important sense, the 4 formless dhyanas are simply varieties of the 4th dhyana. In other words, they are simply more refined form of 4th dhyana, if you like. Okay? In other words, when you have attained the 4th dhyana, and then you let go of the perception of form, you simply do not perceive form, then it becomes infinite space. But there's something else you must do. You kind of, you come out and you reflect, space is infinite. Of course, I have to say words, but in the meditation, you don't do it. It's just that you visualize this space as infinite. It's like as if you're looking at the night sky or you're in this spaceship and you see this whole universe in front of you. Infinite space. If you can imagine that. The closest we have here is maybe, you go up that bubble car and at some point you see this huge open space. Space is infinite. And it's a fantastic feeling. Okay? Very joyful. Then, same thing, he considers thus, even this attainment of the base of infinite space is mentally constructed or mind-made, intentionally formed. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. Okay? Now, there's some other keywords here I need to explain. Go back to 12.1. With the disappearance of perception of sense reaction. So, in other words, all the senses, even the subtlest awareness of the senses are all gone. No more sense reaction. And then there's one more sentence that follows. Non-attention to the perception of diversity. He doesn't see duality anymore. Okay? Like subject, object. There is the idea of an object out there is very subtle. Very subtle. It's not like in breath meditation anymore. Okay? So we're talking about different kind of mental state. Very refined. But this is only the beginning of the formless states. So if this person reflects impermanence, changing on this level becomes an arahat or non-returner. Then he goes higher. Another possible way, that is number 10, the base of infinite consciousness. Furthermore, House Lord, a monk by completely transcending the base of infinite space. In other words, you let go even the idea of space. Okay, let me go back one more step. So this person has attained fourth jhana, so he's enjoying this very wonderful peace, and then he reflects this form jhana, even form is mind-made. So if he lets go of form, so no more form. When you have no more form left, no more body left, what is that? That's just space. So he reflects on this vastness of space, boundless space. Sometimes he translates boundless space, infinite space. In other words, his mental object, so to speak, is space, spaciousness rather. But it's a huge object, you see what I mean? Not like the breath, so tiny. This is huge, so to speak. Now, in the next stage, infinite consciousness, he even lets go of that object of space. So what's left? It's the mind. What's left is the mind that is aware of the space, right? So he said, wow, even this mind is what they call boundless, is infinite. Okay, so it's called infinite consciousness. Get the idea here? So if you see in the sequence, it's easier to understand. Look at 13.1. Furthermore, House Lord, a monk, by completely transcending the base of infinite space, aware that consciousness is infinite, enters and dwells in the base of infinite consciousness. Notice there's an important reason why the sentence or phrase consciousness infinite is in the first person, because you reflect in that way, so to speak. The mind gently says it that way. The mind doesn't need to say this. These words are just used for us to understand. So it dwells in the base of infinite consciousness. And he considers thus, even this attainment of the base of infinite consciousness is mentally constructed, intentionally formed. And what is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending, and then it goes on to attain arahathood, or if it still has some desire, it attains non-returning. Okay?
So consciousness is an obstacle.
Not really an obstacle. In the manner of speaking, something left, You can say obstacle, inverted commas, There is one sutta which mentions something like that. That there is still something stopping you from going on, and you've got to let go of that. So now he's going to let go of that. That's number 11, the last one. The base of nothingness. Okay, here again, it's very simple. You follow the sequence, alright? So this person who has attained fourth jhana, he lets go of the idea of form, and then what is left is consciousness. And then he lets go of the consciousness as an object. There is space, right? And then he...
Space first, and then...
space and...
let go of space first, and then...
And then consciousness, because consciousness is the one that's aware of space, right? And then he lets go of whatever is aware of the object.
So nothing left.
Right? He lets go even of the mind that's aware of the object. Can you imagine that? So there's nothing left. Nothingness. Okay, don't ask me what is this nothingness, okay? Just...
You let go of the mind.
Yeah, that is what's interesting. The mind is aware of itself.
Is the mind
Or what you can say is, remember we used to talk about the knowing mind and the doing mind, yeah? So in a sense you can say this mind here, the doing mind is cleared away. So there's just the present moment awareness, very subtle, okay? So this mind, which is aware of nothing, nothingness. So nothingness is the object. That's as far as words go, okay? Okay, let's look at the words first before we go on, okay? Look at 14.1. Furthermore, House Lord, a monk by completely transcending the base of infinite consciousness, aware that there is nothing, attains and dwells in the base of nothingness. He considers thus, even this attainment of the base of nothingness is mentally constructed, intentionally formed. What is constructed and intentionally formed is impermanent, subject to ending. Right, so in fact, in that way it becomes arahat or non-returning. And that's number 11. That's it. You can't go beyond that. So the question now is, why did Ananda mention number 12? Number 12 is the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Already at this point, you notice the meditator is using nothingness as an object, which is so subtle.
Nothingness is also a perception, isn't it?
Yes. So now, in the last stage, number 12, this is outside the sutta, okay? Beyond the range of the sutta. This is where you have what is called the eight. This is where the divine abodes are left out. The formless attainments, they are called the Anupubba Vihara, the gradual or progressive abodes. So number 8 is the base of neither perception nor non-perception. So here, this time the meditator goes one step further. He even lets go of the object of nothingness. So what's left? At that point, the mind is so subtle, you cannot say there is consciousness or there is no consciousness. Neither perception nor non-perception. That's the meaning. Perception means consciousness in this case. Sanya. Here's where sanya has the same meaning as vinyana. Okay? But the word sanya is used instead of vinyana. Okay? So neva sanya na sanya yatana. Okay? You have to use the word sanya because use the word vinyana is quite a mouthful. Okay? So neither perception nor non-perception. It's as if there's no object. And this is one state where you cannot really come out of it and meditate on it because you can't, it's nothing. You have to get into the state itself. Once you get out of it, it's gone. So how to reflect on it? However, I think in the case of the arahats, their minds are such that they can have some idea of it and they reflect on it. It's possible, but that it's just a reflection. It doesn't bring them awakening because they're already awakened anyway. So this is my understanding, okay? Because the mind is very subtle there. So why number 8, the neither perception or non-perception base is not mentioned? Because it's too subtle. When you come out of it, there's nothing to reflect. Because there's nothing meaningful about it to reflect. It's so subtle, right? Only within it, it's so subtle you experience it. That's it. So you cannot use it to say, oh, even this is impermanent. What is this? You don't know what is it. Of course, technically, it is mentally constructed. It is impermanent, yes. But it is too subtle to become any kind of idea of methodology.
But still mind-made.
It is mind-made, yes. But it won't work in meditation generally.
What won't work?
This is the last one, number 8. Neither perception or non-perception. It's too subtle. Okay? So it is left out. Anyway, if you're still struggling with what I'm saying, it's all in the notes you can read out. Okay? Section 3 and so on, everything's there. For example, you have in the Chula Sunyata Sutta, this base is mentioned. Number 8 is mentioned. The 4th formless jhana is mentioned. So you can read out in the notes for the details. Okay? Yes?
But isn't it the last base of neither perception nor non-perception is that one thing that will liberate the mind
Yes, it can, but then you have to come back to your normal self, so to speak. Okay. It won't. It's so subtle. You can't really reflect anything on it. In fact, in many suttas, the teaching always ends in the base of nothingness. The last one is kind of too subtle to be used as an object. Okay. Yes, it does free the mind. Yeah, you feel good, liberated, but that's it. You will still be reborn anyway. You won't be an arhat.
Precisely. It doesn't mean you reach awakening.
Yeah.
You just probably have a nice release from pain and suffering during
True.
that time.
Just now I mentioned the 9 progressive abodes, right? I forgot to mention number 9 to you. Number 9 is called cessation. Okay, the cessation of perception and feeling. Okay, that level only the Buddha and Arhats can experience. In other words, that imagine that level is even beyond the 4 formless realms. So when the Buddha or Arhat gets into that state, by all intent and purposes, he is dead, because modern medical instruments will not be able to detect any life activity in this person. That is according to modern definition. But then the life factor cannot be measured. Jivitindriya, that still exists. Body heat may not be there, but consciousness is still there. Okay, so this Arahat and the Buddha, they can get to that state. For about 1 week, they can stay in that. Get the Buddha and Arahats. Only Buddhas and Arahats can get into the state of cessation, Nirodha. Okay, so that is the 9th abode. Okay, so that is even more subtle. Only Buddhas and Arahats can do that.
But the consciousness sees not.
In a manner of speaking, yes, consciousness ceases. Consciousness as we know it ceases, but life does not cease. Okay? And yet it is not called the non-conscious state, because there is a level of being in the form world called asanya satta, non-conscious beings. Okay? Where they attain, I think the last jhana, I think, then when they die, they are reborn in that state where there's no consciousness as we know it totally suspended. So there's no mental activity going on at all. In a sense, you don't exist. And the moment a thought arises, they are reborn. You know, the fact that those ancient masters can even conceive this idea is amazing itself. But there you are, you have this mention of the asanya satta, non-conscious beings.
My understanding is that consciousness is subtle, even subtle, I mean, just exists, it ceases to exist for Buddha and Arhats.
No.
It's not just like it's.
As long as someone is alive, consciousness is there and active, even in Buddhism.
No, we on death, on physical death.
Yeah.
On physical
After death, yes.
On physical death,
Yeah.
the consciousness of Buddha and all Arhats cease.
Yes.
That's
true. But this cessation is a meditative state when the person is not dead, but he gets into that state. And but he like mentally, it's like how shall I say it? You get into suspended animation willfully, and then there's a timer. You know, you can you can time yourself. Anyway, within seven days, you automatically come back anyway. Yeah, according to the text, right? So that it can last longer 7 days. All right? Yeah.
The second jhana is said to be noble silence. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, noble silence, because no more vitaka vichara, is it? Not mental chatter, all gone. The mind is totally silent. That's why it's called noble silence in that sense. That's the real meaning of noble silence. You can see noble silence sign on the wall over there. That also, in a sense, is meaningful. It's just that reminding the meditator to get into jhana, meditate, if possible, get into jhana. Okay, noble silence. So when people use the noble silence, that is what they are inspired by in meditation. Okay? Otherwise, it simply means be quiet, don't make noise to disturb other people, and so on. Anyway, so the sutta ends here, reaching number 11. So the Sama, of course, is amazed. Remember Dasama's original question? Just I said, what is the one way? But Ananda gave 11, so he's very happy. 15.1, look at section 15.1. When this was said, the house Lord Dasama of Atakanagara said this to the Venerable Ananda. Bhante Ananda, it is as if a man looking for one entrance to hidden treasure were to find 11 entrances to hidden treasure. Even so, Bhante, while seeking one door to the death-free, I have come to hear all at once 11 doors to the death-free. Bhante, it is as if a man has a house with 11 doors, and when there were a fire in that house, Bhante can flee to safety by any of these 11 doors. Okay, this is the Buddha's answer to the parable of the burning house in the Lotus Sutra. Even so, Bhante, I can flee to safety by any of these 11 doors to the death-free. Bhante, outside sectarians are known to seek the teacher's fee for teaching. Now, why don't I myself make an offering to the Venerable Ananda? Okay, so he's quite used to say, oh, the other teachers always say, okay, after teaching, come on, pay up. It's called dakshina. Dakshina, okay? Support for the teacher. Dakshina means right hand, you offer with the right hand, okay? So here, of course, in this case, the Dasama doesn't donate money. What he does is mentioned later. Then the house Lord Dasama of Atakanagara, having assembled the community of monks in Pataliputta and Vesali, served them with his own hands, so he offered them food, dana, excellent food, both hard and soft, and satisfied them. To each of these monks individually, he presented a pair of personal cloths. This personal cloth probably referred to a sabong or sarong, okay? Another one is probably for covering the top. Or another possible meaning is upper robe, lower robe. And the Venerable Ananda, he presented a triple robe, so one set of 3 robes, all complete. And for the Venerable Ananda, he built a residence worth 500 coins. Okay, so make a place for the monks to stay, a vihara. So the sutta ends there.
Here, why death-free? Why not birth-free?
Yeah, it's also birth-free because under normal circumstances in our world, with death comes birth. Okay, we normally say with birth comes death, right? But it is also correct to say with death comes new birth.
Yeah.
Right? So in the case of nirvana, the ending is really the ending. So when you say death-free, I think it's just the way words are used. Right? Normally we think that death is the ending, right? But to Buddhism, death is not the ending, it's a new beginning. Right?
Yes.
So when we say we are death-free, there's no more death. So in other words, there'll be no more rebirth as we understand it also.
Oh.
Some translators translate amata, the Pali word is amata, as deathless.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, some scholars thought that, deathless might give us the idea that there's life there all the time.
Yes.
So when I thought about that, I said, yeah, okay, why don't we just follow the advice, use the word death-free, free from death. So in other words, there's no life as we know it there either. It's a state beyond life and death, in other words, beyond duality. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
The non-returners, this is metaphysical, I guess. I'm talking. Okay, the non-returners are you say reborn in Pure Land, which is
Pure Bones.
Pure
Pure Bones.
The
Yeah.
Pure Bones, which is the Deva realm.
Yes.
Which is not a physical thing,
Okay.
but the Deva realm is still part of samsara.
Oh, okay. That's because we use the word devas. Maybe we shouldn't say devas. It's one of those heavenly states, if you like.
But still part of the Deva realm, still part of the samsara, right?
In a manner of speaking, yes. Because presumably,
non-returner meaning don't return to what?
Don't return to earth. They don't return to the human form.
To the human form, right? So I guess after X kalpas in that realm, they what? They cease to exist.
Correct. Yeah. It's just like, let's say you're driving a car, okay, or better still a spaceship, So you're speeding at this great speed of light, and then you just stop, But somehow the momentum will still push you ahead a bit more. So these non-returners, they're finishing off that momentum in the pure words. So they won't be reborn after that.
Right.
In that sense,
Yeah.
that they must.
No more samsara, no more back on the wheel.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just to finish off. Even stream winners are said to have 7 more lives, right? So they are still in samsara, but it's just finish off their. They live in such a way that within the 7 lives they will reach awakening.
So if we take it as to mean consciousness and not a physical thing.
Yes.
So the consciousness exists somewhere.
Yeah, there are some theories about this. Since it's not a physical thing, we cannot meaningfully talk of it as existing somewhere, because where refers to a physical entity, some kind of a physical thing, usually.
Yes.
And thing here refers to the 4 elements, earth, water, fire, wind, or one of them. Whereas consciousness is not constituted by any of this.
Yes.
So it's even the word thing is a bit tricky here.
Yes.
We talk about the mind as a thing,
Yes.
Yeah. So the word dhamma, meaning thing, is a very broad sense. That's why we have to understand the nature of non-self.
Well, we have to use a conventional term.
Yeah, exactly. Without being caught up with the fixed meanings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can they have a non-conscious being?
In the what you call form world, form jhanas. It's the highest of the form jhanas. Which volume is that? There's all the 31 planes is given. Is it given there? 31 planes. You can see the list of 31 planes. Any other question or discussion? No, non-returners. Okay. No. Okay, we were talking about the 4 saints here, right? If you keep the 5 precepts and you live a family life, then you practice impermanence, right? So you attain stream winning or once return. Once return, not return, once return. That is usually as a layman. But as a monk also it's possible, because monks have difficulty meditating, maybe scholar monks, so they become stream winners if they work hard. Right? On the other hand, those forest monks, those seriously meditating monks, they practice jhana, they practice just like what's the methods taught here. Then, if they still have some thoughts, maybe they have a lot of compassion, as we say, so then they will become non-returners. But if their mind is totally clear and pure, then they become arahants. Notice a very interesting idea here. All that the early suttas say that if you have any other idea or wish, then you end up as a non-returner. Okay? But in the Mahayana, they say that the arahat willfully postpones his awakening and stays. The bodhisattva willfully postpones his awakening to help the world. Okay? So they're totally different kind of conception already. In other words, they conceive that these beings are already, I don't know how they conceive it actually. It's like as if they have the power not to be awakened. So it's a self-contradicting kind of statement. So they assume that maybe they're talking about 2 kinds of awakening. They're already awakened, but they're not going to go into the final awakening. So in that sense, they're already Buddhas. So they're talking about Buddhas also, right? So this is quite a tricky situation here. But it's a totally new idea, which can be quite philosophical. Lots of discussion is needed there. Whereas in the early suttas, they just say, okay, arahat or non-return. Okay. Any other questions?
So theoretically, when you reach the fourth jhana, are you awakened?
No. Just attaining jhanas alone, even up to the 8th level, the base of neither perception or non-perception, just like, who is that? Laura Kalama, isn't it? So still not awakened.
Yes.
Not awakened. Okay? Because why? They still have this idea of a self. Right? So that something permanent, so they're caught by that idea. So then they come back the cycle. Anything else? Yes?
Release on the wall. Before immature outside is 5 to 8. We have put them after the 4 jhanas. What I try to understand is the 5 to 8, are they independent?
Yes.
Meaning they stand alone,
Yeah, they can stand alone.
which means that you have to go through first, second, third.
Oh, you mean, yeah, the set of 4, is it?
Or are they part of the 4 jhanas?
Okay, in the case of they're not part of the 4 jhanas. Another way of talking is the 8 jhanas also can, right? That means 4 form jhanas, 4 formless jhanas. But usually they're called 8 attainments. These 8, they flow through one after the other. They're contiguous. Okay? So you want to go to number 8.
Sequence.
Yeah, they follow sequence, yes. In the case of the divine abodes, they are their own set. So you start with loving kindness. So in a sense, all the other 3 are also loving kindness based. For example, compassion. Compassion is loving kindness in action, right? Gladness is also based on compassion and loving kindness. And equanimity, you must have all the other 3 also. Okay, it's there, latent. Okay, so you can draw a triangle, a kind of pyramid. So you have loving kindness at the bottom, and then the other 3 above it.
So, as in this last paragraph when the businessman said, oh, I got 11 doors.
Yes.
I can, if there's a fire in the house, I can go any of the 11 doors.
Yeah.
So, do I take it that way it does not have to be sequential?
No. If you want, in terms of meditation, in terms of practice, there is some kind of sequence you must follow. The jhana is one sequence, divine abodes one sequence. However, at any point, any of those 11 points, you can attain awakening if you reflect on the impermanency
So,
mentioned
I
here.
got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I got to meditate on 5, 6, 7, 8. Or
Not necessary. You can stop anywhere. You can stop anywhere without finishing the rest, the later ones. The later ones, not the earlier ones. You don't have to finish all the later ones. Okay?
you have to finish all the.
For example, you can stop at number 2 without going 3, 4, 5. Okay? If you get awakened at number 2, fine enough.
I see.
You don't have to finish the rest. But usually it will be quite easy for such arahats to finish off all the rest anyway.
No, but it's quite deceptive because we all agree that even if you attain the last 12, it does not necessarily mean you will be awakened. And yet it is stipulated as 11 ways to awaken you.
Oh, yeah.
You do all this, you're not necessarily to awaken.
If the person reflects them as mind-made, that's the. Then you look at that's why I say you got to remember the key sentence, because So don't forget that key sentence 4.3, that's the key. So when you reflect on any level that they are mind-made, therefore they are permanent, that's the key to awakening. At any level. Okay?
Yes, you go through that process of 1, 2, 3, 4. You cannot jump straight to formless and non.
You cannot jump straight, no.
Even the jhanas will go one.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a house with 4 rooms or 8 rooms, depending on what you're talking about. If 4 jhanas, 4 rooms, and then if you're talking about the formless, there'll be 8. Because you need to clear away all those first steps, they go step by step progressively. Yeah.
All the grosser.
All the defilements.
Yeah. Defilements.
I mean, that would make sense, isn't it?
What I like to understand is a person can start with, say, loving kindness.
Yeah.
And in that process, you can go into the first jhana.
Possible too.
That is
Possible also. Jhana, Yeah, in fact, any of the jhanas, it can be used as a basis for first jhana.
With any of the books.
Or any of the divine abodes can be used as a basis for jhana. But not all of them can reach the fourth jhana. So in other words, you can do the first jhana and then you work yourself up from there also can.
What's the meaning of awakening in this context?
Attaining nirvana. Same meaning. Attaining nirvana. Self-awakening. It means they see reality directly.
Right.
Yeah. So and there is no more rebirth.
And there's no more self-identity.
Yeah, no more self-identity view. There is
No
never.
more views.
Yeah, there's never any self-identity. It is the view, self-identity view. Yeah, which is.
No more view. No more views.
Yeah, correct. So they see things as they are.
As they really are.
Okay?
Gladness means mudita, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, same. Gladness, mudita, joy, appreciative joy. Yeah. So you have different translations. Any other questions? Yeah?
Emptiness and
Sorry?
emptiness.
No, emptiness is not included here. It's another way of talking. Emptiness refers to maybe emptiness of ideas, emptiness of views. Yeah, so it's not used here, not used in this sutta. The one is used in later idea in Mahayana, for example. Okay, but there are also early suttas that use the word emptiness, but not in this slightly different context. Okay.
But it's also part of the awakening process.
Rather, how we talk about the process, emptiness, how we talk about it. For example, we say empty of this, empty of that. So it's a way of talking about the
Because
process.
true reality is true reality is sunyata.
Again, there's one way of talking about it. Yeah. So, like I said, nirvana and so on. These are different words we use, but we have to be careful not to make the words too fixed.
No.
Okay. Right. So we end here for today. Alright, let us close with a short reflection. Right, today we have seen how Ananda presents to us 11 ways of attaining liberation, awakening through the various kinds of jhanas, including the 4 divine abodes, practicing loving kindness to the level of jhana. All these teachings that are available to us are great treasures. We have these 11 doors to a treasure house. That is why we need to constantly reflect on the suttas. Sometimes we may have the suttas, but if we don't understand their meanings, it is almost as bad as not having them at all. So it's like our understanding of the suttas and our practice and realizing the truths contained therein allows the Buddha's teaching to live on, the Dharma to live on, generation after generation. May we continue to do this for the benefit of others, so that there is growing happiness among our coming generation. Reflecting in these ways, very good mental karma. Well-powered such karma may be strengthened to aspire to attain spiritual awakening and extreme winning in this life itself. And also, by all the good deeds we have been doing, may we attain peace of mind, effect of practice, and be blessed with happiness and success in this life itself. In this moment of peace, too, let us send out our loving kindness to all the people here, to all the beings here, that they may be well and happy, and work harmoniously together for the Dharma. And also, may all those whom the Dharma have not touched to see the Dharma for themselves and attain awakening in no time. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.